Okay, so we have briefly met, and some of you I know well. I'm Andrew Sachs. I'm the head of marketing at the People's SCE. So during the course of this panel, what we will do is go through a series of matters that are important to everybody, and some of them that are important to us, that you will have your say on and be able to just discuss between you. And also, we will also look at some of the most common questions that have been asked by the community. So at that point, we will then discuss those as well. The entire thing should take around 1 hour, if that's okay. So basically, I'd like to make a start and introduce myself a little bit to those who I've been in the fintech arena for 32 years. Mostly, I started in making technological development and research R&D for the trading industry in banks. Then started to work on the retail side, realized there wasn't enough transparency in the market between different parts of the fintech and electronic trading and financial services arena. So I started a company which brought that sort of transparency and reporting to the industry, and then joined the eCredits project because it's in line with exactly what we are doing here, which is to bring a people's very accessible, democratic people's marketplace to the entire way that everybody goes about their everyday life. So that's basically a little bit about me. I'd like to ask those who are not speaking to keep their mic on mute, if possible, please, so that it stops any background noise, and you can just unmute if you want to say anything. Feel free to do so at any time. So let's move ahead with the very first question, which is these ones are the first questions, which are really items that have been that are from our side, which we would like your interactive opinion on. So first of all, we'd like to go through and look at what is attractive to you in the eCredits ecosystem. Why do you participate in it, and what has driven you towards becoming a delegate and going to this level within the ecosystem? So let's start on that with Krista.
Unmute. Now I'm unmuted. Yeah, I did a little review of these questions. So, but if we start on the first one, so yeah. The reason I would like to participate is that I really believe in this project. It's quite a unique concept, and I would like to do my part to make it a success. I have several reasons why I believe this is special, but I prepared that a little bit in my initial statement about myself, but I'm not sure if I should do that now. Should I talk a little bit?
You certainly can, absolutely.
Yeah, because I just wrote a few words about myself in the beginning, who I am. I'm 54 years old. I live in Stavanger with 3 kids. I've been investing in stocks for the last 35 years. I've learned by my mistake, and well, I'm doing quite good now, not in the beginning. I follow markets, both technical and analytical. Technical analysis are a good tool to predict the market. Technical trends are overruled by good or bad news in the market. Crypto, I have seen the last years have been start following the US stock exchange. Not exactly, but the main directions are quite following to see the market trends. As the crypto are following the economic market, that's very dependent of the technical analysis, because there are products of multiple stocks in the market, and not only one. If you look for one stock and it has bad news, it falls. But if you look at the main trend on the main stocks, that's have the variations for multiple stocks. That's why it's a little bit more stable than single stocks in the market. I believe that the mother of all money, it's come from shopping. Just speculation itself does not create any money. Shopping, that's what the money was invented for in the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah, so focusing on the usage and consumption, that's a big opportunity, in my opinion. We have a unique cryptocurrency. What other cryptocurrencies is in the market where we can supply good news? They don't, because they just follow a trend technically. But if a stock on the stock market has a good something good in the market, that increases the value of it. I don't see any other crypto value that can come with good news. Well, what can we do if we make a connection and a big international merchant start receiving our start using our currency? I have my beliefs what will happen. We don't know what happens before we actually see it though. But I think we are known category here. So as we focus more on the usage instead of the market. So that's why I find this very interesting, and that's the reason I would like to participate in this project.
That's a very interesting reason, and of course, you're right that we are in fact. You could say that the People's SCE is the first instance of decentralized digital currency being used for what it was actually originally invented for all those 15 years ago or so, to be an actual decentralized currency for everyday use rather than a speculative investment. So that's very interesting. Aaron, you are a very active member of this community. What is it that what would you like to add to that?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Barzan, Christer, do you want to say something more, or can I?
No. Just it glitched, so I didn't if it was a question or not for me. But just go ahead. So Mike.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and yeah, thank you, Andrew. I'm Aaron from Italy, and you can see my CV and other stuff on me on my LinkedIn and on the web portal in my name section and so on. And yeah, I'm super active in the community because I work a lot on the Telegram eCredits group in English languages, and also, for example, in the Milano event and other things. And yeah, basically, I thought to become a member of SCE because I saw in the ecosystem a huge potential of growing. Because, for example, I really love the ACT token reward, like a reward for the user in the ecosystem that use eCredits for do purchase and purchase to the merchant. So basically, I love the token reward, and I think that the ACT token reward plus shopping activity in the market can reach a huge potential user basis in the market. And yeah, I love this. And also, in my opinion, when I start with this ecosystem, I think 1.5 years, I really saw that there was a big community that can spread all the ecosystem in the world. For example, in just 1 year, we have made 2,000 merchants in all over the world. And for me, is a very great result because, for example, Bitcoin in 15 years old have made something like 30,000 merchants, for example. Okay, so I think that we have a huge potential. We have a ACT reward system that can bring more interesting into the ecosystem, and also for that I join into the SCE and apply with my like candidate.
Very interesting indeed, Aaron. And that moves us on to motivation, which is quite clear here that we have a community which is highly motivated to actually not just further the reach of the merchant and consumer relationship, but actually build the ecosystem of the eCredits as a everyday method of merchants and consumers working together and expand it as a daily currency, which is excellent. So I'd like to ask Rogerio now, what was your main motivation for becoming a delegate and taking part in the actual People's SCE General Assembly?
Hi, first of all, thank you. Glad to be here with you and discussing all this. Yes, my first, first Christian say, yes, first the money was invented really for shopping. And my biggest motivation is bringing back the money, the power of money to the people. And I prefer, not only because of the rewards we have, the benefits we have shopping with the credits. I don't understand why we should shop with euros, for example, when we have more benefits with the credits. It's really difficult for me to understand that. But first of all, is the power that we can bring again to the customers and to the merchants, the power of the money. That's why I'm really excited in all this project.
Interesting indeed. That is absolutely right. And I think certainly fomenting a new economy and being central to fomenting a new economy where we are all on one level, us as leaders on and advocates of it and those who use it. That is a very, very interesting thing indeed. Pavel, what is your take on that? What drove you to becoming involved in the People's SCE General Assembly?
Thank you, Andrew. Being delegated gives me opportunity to influence decision-making process. As I wrote in my application, my grandfather was commander during the Second World War, and he fought for the freedom. Lots of people do not understand that we are robbed everywhere, every day. Yes. So the current financial system based on the fiat money robs us. So ECS for me is a freedom. It can be printed. It's the people currency. So that's my decision to help people to build the ecosystem and help people in understanding ecosystem.
Yes, absolutely. And it certainly is it's the modern way of empowering people, and it's the modern route to freedom is via our own very clever application of technology, and that should be in the hands of the people. So that is absolutely a very good reason for becoming a delegate. So on to the next question, which I would like to ask Dimitar. We are basically looking at the areas and topics that are most important within the eCredits ecosystem that you think are its most important attributes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, great. So first of all, I think proper education for both consumers and merchants, because right information about they need to get the right information about the benefits that they get when they are using eCredits. After that, they need to learn how to use the e-wallet app properly. And we need to encourage consumers and merchants to make greater use of the eCredits.
That's for sure. That's actually a very interesting point, and it is something which I am now working on your behalf, is the wide-scale adoption of eCredits from a user and consumer point of view. The merchant area is quite clear. The merchant advantages are quite clear. We now need to concentrate on advocacy towards the greater public and ensure that they enjoy the benefits of being part of a people's ecosystem. So you are very much aligned, and I'm very much aligned with that too. So I'd like to ask the same question to Francesco, please.
Good morning to all. In my opinion, each of us needs to be implemented. For example, I think that in few minutes merchants must have their money on the bank account. Only this may grow the number of happy merchants, and the other side, easy to use for clients, for consumer. Because for us, it's all easy now to use because we are inside the crypto market. We know what's this wallet. But if we need to increase, to go to the all people, the mass, worldwide, we have to do all most easily possible. So this is my vision. I am honored to participate in the next in Luxembourg convention. So, and I hope to help us to grow these credits for exactly begin the people currency.
Super, that's great to hear, and certainly you have been very involved in that, as an ambassador and in your journey, and we've met, and I think it's an important step that you're taking is to be involved in all of those processes and meetings and help us actually, along with everybody else who's delegate, bring these important issues to light and make them part of our overall strategy as we build the ecosystem. So that brings me on to the next subject, which is a set of priorities for the eCredits ecosystem. Of course, it's a democratic process, and we are together, along with all of the merchants and consumers and our community, building a fully independent ecosystem that is ours, and it's everybody's. It should be part of the worldwide society. However, that in itself, getting to the point where it's rolled out to everybody and it is fully fair and democratic, does require a set of priorities, and those priorities should be aligned with everybody who votes and everybody who is participating in the furthering of the ecosystem. So I'd like to ask Gabriel, what would your top priorities be for the eCredits ecosystem as it stands at the moment? As in, what would you address and how would you address it?
Okay, thank you, Andrew. Well, I think our priorities are, I think we have something big in front of us because blockchain has bring to the market and to the world something new, but only a few people know what's inside, what's about it. And I think we have the opportunity to bring this technology to everybody, to everyone, to everyday purchases, to everyday life. So we need to do some learning, some teaching to everyone why this is something new, why this is something that gives you a good tool for merchants and a good tool for consumers also, and why they should use it in their daily purchases in their daily life. So I think we have this opportunity to do it. I think it's the only time, the only crypto that has this in mind, and we have such a big work to do and such a big opportunity for everyone, because this is so democratic and so useful for everyone that we should do a good job about it.
Absolutely, we should, and we should be doing so with the full remit that everything is transparent. So to the extent where we find out from those who are very heavy users where the pain points are, what are they experiencing, so that we can actually, along with everybody, along with you as delegates and along with the community, continue to refine the user experience to make it easier and easier and easier for people to become part of the ecosystem and to reduce any points which are perhaps sticking points, to make it so that it's as effortless as possible to get everybody onto the to bring fairness and democracy to everybody, basically. So those are points which, of course, we as people who are very actively involved in the ecosystem should work together on. You know, I would like to hear, and feel free to reach me out anytime you like. I would like to hear of any of these points that are commonly being raised, so that we can work on those and work with you as delegates together, and then bring those into the General Assembly and make them points that are coming from the community. we listen to our community all the time because we are the community, all of us together. So that's an important issue that we should work together on. And of course, before we move on to questions from the community, which is exactly that subject, I'd like to find out if there's any other business in terms of these SCE driven questions. And for that, I'd like to go over to Krista, who has a question, I believe.
As we are talking about what's the biggest challenge or most important thing we do in the near future, I think there's we need to onboard a big merchant, I believe, with daily needs, because that's where you will have the turnover. If we just have small shops which are not you do every day, maybe once a week, you will not have the turnover you need to make this huge. If we want to go, if we can onboard a very big international, hopefully, that will do a lot. So I think that should be focus area number one, to get turnover with a heavy market.
Yes, I agree with you. And I think we should also be looking towards onboarding and subscription business. For example, businesses or members clubs, for example, or businesses, magazine companies and things where a monthly subscription payment is required. And all of those could be done using eCredits, and that generates monthly active users, which is a very valuable way of doing so. It's beneficial for the community. If you pay a subscription, you can pay less if you have it on eCredits, and therefore the merchant will be the issuer of those subscriptions. That is a way, that's another way of getting the ecosystem to be larger and benefit everybody in the process. So I fully agree with you, and we should be working on that as a way of making the market penetration greater.
Also, I think that if you onboard a huge merchant, it's so much easier to onboard anyone else, because this company
That's correct.
Our currency, why shouldn't you? So if you do it proper once, then you have made a good background for the rest of it.
Yes, that's absolutely right. What we have to get to is where we have enough of a value proposition to bring on board a large corporate, because a large corporate has less pain points than a small business in running his everyday business, and operating costs in terms of paying merchant services fees and waiting for your money to be arriving in fiat currency is easier for those companies than it is for the small businessman, who is really somebody who should be empowered by the community. So we have to work on that, and we have to get that right. So Rogero, over to you.
Yeah, also in the same topic, I think Dimitar talked about special thing. It's education. Even if big companies have the eCredits acceptance, also the people must understand why eCredits must be used. Why? Because I think, and what I understand, in my opinion, a lot of the people don't understand the money, the currency, and why they should drive with the eCredits and not, for example, with euros. And I think the education part is much more important.
That's right, and outreach should be part of that. That's the way of outreach towards whole national communities of consumers. Basically, should be part of the outreach, so that we make it clear what the reason for such a decentralized marketplace is. That is very clear part of the strategy that should be there. That I 100% agree with. So now I'd like to move on to the questions that have come from the community, if that's okay. So we have here some of the more common questions that came from the community. So here we've covered some of them, and actually this is an interesting angle, is where the community and delegates together can bring the whole community, along with delegates and representation at the GA, General Assembly, bring to the eCredits community overall to help it succeed. So I'd like to ask that question to Aaron.
Yeah, thank you. Nice question, because I think that yeah, first of all, thank you also for Rogerio and other guys, because I think that teach to the community how the whole ecosystem works is super important. That's why also I am super active in the Telegram group, for example, and is a group that is and will be open for freedom, for knowledge, and so on and so on, because it's too much important that people can ask everything to the SC member, for example, to the CEO, to the other guy in the community, to the merchant in the community, also to the other user in the community, to understand better how all the business and all the community works. And back to the question, in my opinion, the community and the SC member, in my opinion, can help the for example, Andrew and the SC company to understood how the market needs, for example. Okay, so give feedback to the company about how need to do in the future, or what the community need about product, or about bug, or about develop, I don't know, something like that. Because yeah, community plus SCE member, I can that we can give a lot of feedback to the company for build better in the future and increase our flux of more transaction, increase user, merchant, and increase all the ecosystem.
Super indeed.
Basically, sorry, Andrew, basically for feedback and input from the community to the company.
Yes, I think that's really vital. And we have one of the challenges of doing this is to have a way where everybody is able to speak to each other as best possible on a specific platform. And, you know, there are ways of doing that. But of course, I think relaying to ambassadors and relaying to then delegates who will then work with us is a good start. And we should look further upon that. You know, how to further that as a platform as it grows, because of course you need to find a sustainable platform where we have all the members of the community working on a community board. We look at that further. And Aaron, you and I can speak about that if you like later, because I have a few ideas I'd like to run past you. And of course, anybody else who is on the discussion panel, feel free to join us. The areas that you see most important for the development of the eCredits ecosystem, we covered some of that just now, but that is actually one of the most commonly asked questions from the community. So that there's really what specific development areas are critical right now and important for the furthering of the eCredits ecosystem. Gabrielle, what do you think?
Voice.
You have a mute.
Micro.
That's there you go.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. I think you've mentioned something that I've always thought that's interesting, and is developing something for subscription. This is something I think could bring value to many companies, having a crypto payment on a monthly basis. So something that you can rely on for your subscriptions, for your payments. So I think this is something to develop, and something really, really interesting. And I'm happy to hear that you are working on that. And also all around internet payments, becoming a player in internet shoppings, in online shopping, because I think there's an opportunity there also, apart from the daily purchasing in small companies, in small businesses, of course.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I'm really glad that you agree with that. I think that I mean, subscriptions are usually memberships, and memberships are part of a community, and that's something that we should further. So that's great to hear. And I would like to move on now to, here's another interesting one from the community also, is what do you think that the value proposition to merchants is? And also, on the same token, what is the value proposition to consumers, and how can that be conveyed to market? Because that's a very big conundrum. There are two very different types of user, consumer and merchant, very different purpose. Each has a different reason to use a decentralized people's currency. So what do you think is the value proposition to each, and what should we do to get that to market? And that should go to Krista for this purpose at the moment.
Okay. I think that if we make good benefits for the consumer, and then if a merchant starts to accept using eCredits in their shop, the consumer will come there. The buyers will come to their shop, so that gives maybe more customers, or maybe even more reliable customers always coming back. Because if the currency itself give benefits, you will look for the shops having this facility in their shop.
So you think it's kind of a way of generating a buying network that joins the consumers to the merchant and keeps them in a network of operating between themselves, and therefore builds a purchasing community.
Yeah, that's one side of it, but also there are obvious benefits for the merchants as well, because the fees they're paying to alternatives now are quite higher.
They are indeed.
They have to wait for the
They
money, and yeah, there's a lot of
That's right. The thing is, and I'd like to go, there's even further than that. It's quite easy to convince a merchant why they would do that, because, of course, as you rightly say, a lot of small businesses are encumbered by terrible economic conditions. They were, in many Western countries, they were locked down by the government 3 years ago. They have now huge inflation with some of the economies are in big inflation. They have to pay a lot for their supply because the supply chain is there's a lot of logistical and geopolitical and fiscal things that have caused small businesses to have difficulties, and added to that is the merchant services fees and not being able to get their money within immediate settlement. Usually it's a few days if you work with a large processor. Now those are all just factors that apply to everything. Of course, it's all very good saying, oh yes, well, these can be overcome, but that applies anyway. So with a merchant, it's obvious that we can solve most of those problems and get them immediate settlement, get them away from the geopolitical issues that are out of their control, and allow them to control their own business. The issue is really, what do you do and how do we bring consumers to it? Because it's not difficult to make a payment, even with cash or any other method. Nowadays, the majority of Western countries have contactless payments. You go in, you make a payment. Why eCredits? Why is it that, what would motivate somebody to join that particular community and join the movement and actually take it as part of their everyday life? Because it should be part of their everyday life, not just a way of making payments. It should be an ethos and a community and a way of going about their everyday life that's sustainable. So what would, in your opinion, and I'm going to ask this one to Rogerio, because you and I have had this sort of conversation before. I'd be very interested to see what you think. What would motivate somebody to go and take a totally different approach and go down the eCredits route as a consumer?
It's a little bit the same that I talked to you before. It's first of all, the people must understand the money. Where is the power? Where is the power of money? If we can bring it to us, we not we here, but we the people that transact the currency and the money, we can now choose if we want some money that is controlled by the banks and the states, and that they can print as much as they can, as much as they wanted, like that doing the inflation, or if they want to bring back to we the people, we the persons, we all the members, the community, the merchants, the clients, the customers that want to have that control. So first of all, I think, again, the education, most of the people don't understand this. They need to understand how it's printed, how the money is printed. Most of them don't, even contables and bankers don't understand that.
That's right.
All, I think education is very important. Like that, they can understand why we are trying to implement this currency or this money for shopping, for example, and for everyday use. And I think that is the most important thing. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's right. And it is also a question of adding to that, we are entering a new era in the world, which started just at the beginning of this decade, where the way of life is easily impacted by the decisions of a few who are in control of all of the technology, including the banks and the big tech and everything like that, governments, and they will make those decisions, and it renders the population, whoever they might be, whether they are businessmen or people who have every life, powerless to be in have any sustainability or future view in their life. For example, it is quite well known that almost everybody in Western countries, including businesses that have been around for a very long time, are just 6 weeks away from insolvent. If they don't have any more revenue, or if they can't access their fund, they're 6 weeks away from not being able to access to participate in society. That is a very, very frightening and very stark figure. So by building our own ecosystem and doing it all together, we are giving a level of sustainability. And I think that is a really important thing. The question is, how do we foment that as an ideology into the public to the point where they will say, yes, that is why we should be on the eCredits network, and that's why everybody should be using eCredits, because that's very abstract when you just want to go and buy something in a shop, but it is a very important matter that should be on everybody's mind right now. So I think that is something which we can perhaps look at a bit further, and I expect Aaron, you have any particular opinion on that?
Yes, I mean, I think that eCredits and the cryptocurrency in general put in the world a new technology that thanks to the cryptography and so on, you can own and protect your fund and use it all over the world. And you just need about a phone, some energy, and cryptography and holding secure your seed phrase and stuff. But basically, yes, you can use it in all over the world with internet. And differently, actually, the fiat money, for example, have no access the people all over the world, because some people are not access to the bank, for example.
That's
in some
right.
countries. So in my opinion, that's why crypto will be the future, because it's an open source for putting contact people in economical level. So technically, I can talk with a person from the other part of the world that probably with no crypto I can't, because probably this person have no access to the bank, so we can't do business together, every type of business, of course. Okay, so
Yes.
that is so important in my opinion, because open a new reach and give a new access to the people, to each other.
Yes, makes perfect sense to me. So finally, in terms of the very popular questions from the community, this actually leads on very nicely to this particular matter, which is, what are the main challenges for the eCredits ecosystem as a whole? So I would like to ask that to Pavel.
Thank you, Andrew. For me, the most important is creating demand. because more customers, more merchants, it will be cause that we will create demand and it will be give a good value of the ECS. Then math cannot be cheated.
Yes, creating demand is really number one. Absolutely. That is how we build the ecosystem out, by creating a demand. And that is a challenge that we have to really address. And we have to do that as a community and work together to be able to do it. I agree with you. That's very, very important. So let's see if, Francesco, you have another opinion on what is the main challenge that the eCredits ecosystem faces.
No, I agree with this. The only way is to increase the shop, the number of shops online.
Yes.
And, I don't know the word in English. It's like the big organized distribution, for example. In Italy is GDO.
A distribution network.
Yes.
Channel, distribution
the
channel.
Only way, this is not speculative currency, we know. There is a big conflict against bank, the flat bank. Look what's happening in USA with SEC that make a war against Binance and the other. So, sorry, there is a call for me. I don't know what's. Okay, I'm again there.
There you go.
So the only way is to increase number of shops and number of clients that use every way.
That's
and
right.
To do this, easy is the most important thing. Remember when Apple make the first phone with just one finger, you can make all. This is we have to change the vision. We have to make a very strong idea to change it to become all very quickly and easily. My mother have 86 years. If she begin to make shop with the credits, we win. So this is the idea. I don't know if it's true. Okay.
Yes, that's absolutely right, and I completely agree with you there. And that's a really important topic is getting more distribution, more merchants, more consumers.
Yeah.
That has to be done. How we do it is quite an interesting challenge, and is something which we are very engaged in doing. But it should also be with the help of the community, and with everybody on board, and being able to work with our ambassador community, as well as from a digital point of view. And you are right, Francesco, we should be doing it with digital merchants and online merchants, so that we can get a global presence. You're absolutely right about that. So that is very vital. And basically now, having addressed some of those matters, I'd like to open the forum a little bit for a few minutes to anybody who, from our delegates today, who might have an issue that they would like to discuss among themselves or with us. Like aside from these questions, Francesco, go ahead.
Oh, I think the best idea that we can speak when we were in Luxembourg is to decide what is the fee that merchants have to pay to go in our crypto system. Because I don't know the number, but I think that 99 is a good price. But if the market doesn't buy our product, we have a problem. I don't know how many merchants enter in my, for example. You have this number. It's important to understand how many new merchants onboarding in the month of May, for example. Yeah. Because if it's a small number, we have a problem. So
well, we do have, we do have that data, and you're right. And actually, what I would like to touch on there is this is a very important point, actually, Francesco, is the onboarding of merchants is one thing, but the activation and keeping them operating is another altogether. So
Yes,
we've
of
noticed
course.
that we've got, over the last year, we have onboarded merchants, and I know the exact cost of that. I know exactly to the nearest dollar what it costs to bring on board all of those merchants, because yesterday I was looking at those figures, and actually that's an important matter, because we've achieved that, but now activating them and keeping them operating and furthering and building out the eCredits ecosystem and being part of it, seeing a value proposition and driving customers to them is now our responsibility. So I see it as we should be driving customers from our side to those businesses. And I'd like to see what your opinion is on that, really. We take a proactive stance in driving customers towards our merchants. That's really what I'm suggesting.
It's a question for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I don't know the real. We have to discuss about this. I have some idea in the mind, but it's not a simple problem. It's a big problem, because
It is a big program.
we solve this. And we have a merchant, we have client that may shop, we have solved this, but we have arrived there. We have to think lateral things, because with the old things, we cannot do this.
Yes.
I have not the solution. I am there to discuss with you and to find the best proposal for us and for all the community.
Yeah, that's absolutely. We will get there. So feel free to discuss that with me anytime you like, Francesco, and we will work on it. Aaron, over to you.
Yeah, in my opinion about that, if I have understood the question, how we can put the customer into the merchant for paying in eCredits, right?
Yes.
The question is a good question, of course, and in my opinion, how we can put all these customer, all these client into the merchant that accept eCredit, reward this guy with reward, and we have already a reward system activate in our ecosystem with ACT reward. Some of these merchants have also integrated eCashback, for example. That is a super good reward system. Okay, so basically we can fix this not problem, but this situation with a bit of marketing for say at the user. Hey, do you know that you can pay here near your position, and teach at this user how they can use the app or use the exchange, or use basically the technology, teach about the product and reward them. When we reward this guy and they are able to understand how all the ecosystem works, they redo it because they want more reward every time.
Yeah.
So marketing plus reward plus good customer experience. That is
I agree with you.
point of view.
Absolutely right. I agree with you. Rogerio, do you have a question?
No, it's exactly like Aaron says. It's It's about teaching the customer why he should work with eCredits, why he should pay with eCredits, and like that only with the educational videos, marketing, merchandise, things like that. Standardize the all eCredits to all the shops, and like that maybe I hope the consumers, the clients can go shopping with eCredits.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree with you. So that is very good indeed. That pretty much wraps up the delegate discussion panel. And of course, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us, and of course to extend appreciation for your commitment to being delegates on the People's SCE General Assembly, which is vital for us all as a community to be able to build and extend and keep working on the democratic nature of the people's currency, which is eCredits. So thank you very much to everybody, and have a good evening.